How could the media get it so wrong about Trump-Russia collusion? Welcome to Mind Over Media. I'm your host, Stephen Bulletin. It was not long ago that politicians, professors, journalists, and other prominent people on the left were celebrating Special Counsel Bob Mueller and his investigation into Trump-Russia collusion. In fact, the enthusiasm lasted for over 2 years, anticipating the imminent demise of President Trump and giving rise to an entire cottage industry of merchandise and memes celebrating Mueller as a kind of folk hero. In fact, according to Vox Media, searching for Mueller on Etsy turned up 2,374 results for merchandise at the end of March. Seth Abramson, prominent professor, attorney, and self-described curatorial journalist, recently published a book entitled Proof of Conspiracy: How Trump's International Collusion is Threatening American Democracy. Last Friday, Abramson appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher, where he continued to further the narrative of conspiracy while simultaneously backpedaling on the definition of conspiracy. Abramson and Maher maintained the narrative despite knowing that no new indictments were on the way, following Attorney General Bill Barr's summary of the Mueller report released in late March.
Well, I'd say this, right? We sometimes say, how could there be no finding of conspiracy by Robert Mueller, right? Or that he could not establish beyond reasonable doubt that there was conspiracy. The interesting thing, Bill, is that no one was really accusing Donald Trump of having a before-the-fact signed agreement with the Internet Research Agency that was doing all the propaganda, or the GRU, Russian military intelligence, that was doing the hacking.
But that's not how conspiracies work.
Exactly
you don't have
right.
to say it.
So let me put my original question another way. What the hell happened to the mainstream media? After Hillary Clinton's devastating election defeat in 2016, Democrats, with the support of the mainstream media, began a desperate and dishonest campaign to undercut President Trump's presidency at every turn. The media likely did this impulsively, out of humiliation for getting all of their predictions wrong, and out of resentment for being beaten by someone they consider stupid, and out of outrage, their sense of moral superiority and elitism. As a former Democrat myself, and someone who personally, deeply was disturbed on Trump's election day in November of 2016, I experienced all of these emotions, in part because of how much easier it is to seek blame outside of oneself than it is to ask difficult questions like, how did I get this wrong? Where did my ideas come from? What do I need to do differently going forward? Instead of giving into temptation and doubling down on these bad ideas, I took a step back personally and started looking at how I took for granted, without real proof, that the mainstream media respects the basic tenets of journalism. Tenets like truth and accuracy, independence, fairness and impartiality, humanity and accountability. But once I took a step back, it was not long before I began to see the corrupt and transparent motives of the mainstream media. Instead of pursuing the truth, mainstream TV news outlets like CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS began pursuing Russiagate with fervor to enact retribution and to increase, most importantly, their own ratings. In fact, MSNBC's Rachel Maddow spent the better part of the last 2 years almost entirely focusing on the Russiagate narrative and kept going after this story following Bill Barr's summary of the Mueller findings and no new indictments, and even today with the full, albeit redacted, report publicly available online. Traditional newspapers such as the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the UK's Guardian also joined in the Trump impeachment frenzy. Make no mistake that all of these outlets had impeachment squarely in their sights from the outset. the Washington Post published its first impeachment article on Trump's inauguration day. New York's left-leaning digital media outlets like Vice, Vox, BuzzFeed, Slate, and the Huffington Post all joined in on the collective media dogpile and takedown of the Trump administration. Journalistic integrity out the window, this was first and foremost about taking Trump down. Moreover, the media saw its ratings rise substantially following Trump's election. Running with a trumped-up story of conspiracy made a lot of people very rich. Following the summary released by Attorney General Bill Barr in late March, however, ratings at MSNBC and CNN fell off a cliff as the great Russia-Trump conspiracy theory unraveled in plain sight, while viewers appear to have shifted to Fox News and other conservative media outlets, which did not run with the Russiagate narrative. Virtually nobody in the mainstream media was questioning the veracity of Trump-Russia collusion allegations. Some in the alternative media, like Jimmy Dore, who was previously associated with the Young Turks, questioned Russiagate from the left since the beginning. Other left-leaning journalists, like Glenn Greenwald, were also deeply suspicious. Fox News host Tucker Carlson was also skeptical from the outset, as was Ben Shapiro from the Daily Wire. It's important to note that the mainstream media did not make up the Trump-Russia collusion story out of thin air. Instead, they saw a fire and assumed they knew who the arsonist was, or even if there was an arsonist. And it's no secret that President Trump was absolutely beside himself with this investigation beginning at the very beginning of his presidency. Trump is a freewheeling anti-politician who shitposts on a regular basis and has no problem going after his enemies himself. For media and Washington, D.C. elites, this seemed unfathomable, unconscionable. But at the end of the day, the left just wants to see Donald Trump impeached for any reason whatsoever. The left is seriously butthurt over watching Hillary Clinton go down in flames and cannot stand the fact that Americans actually elected Donald J. Trump despite all of his antics. We saw this fervor around Stormy Daniels and Michael Avenatti and the accusations of hush money before they imploded. Personally, fake news stories like this have substantially eroded my trust in the news media, which I once considered the fourth estate. There have actually been a number of high-profile, botched or fake news stories in recent times, such as the Covington High School scandal or Jesse Smollett's hate crime hoax. As someone who has always identified with the left, I feel burned and have decided to do something differently. This is one of the central reasons why I have created this channel, Mind Over Media, and made this story into my first ever YouTube video essay. In my next video, I'm going to review the over 400 pages of the actual Bob Mueller investigatory report, providing insights and analysis and commentary on what I learned. If you want to be notified of my next video, please hit that notification bell in the upper right corner. Consider subscribing if you liked this video, and if you want to support me as a new YouTuber, I would sincerely appreciate your liking the video and commenting below. I really could use both positive and constructive feedback on how you think I'm doing and what else you think I should be talking about. For Mind Over Media, this is Stephen Bulletin, signing off.